Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to go the top 10 Premier League managers of all time. Now this was pretty difficult. I've mainly based this on the longevity in the Premier League. It's quite hard to rank someone who hasn't had many seasons in the Premier League. I've managed to put a couple of managers in there, mainly due to the fact they've broken records in the Premier League in their very short time. It is a difficult one to do really because the top few aren't too hard, but after that it did get pretty hard to rank. But I'll get to it because, there's going to be some pretty controversial ones in here that people might not really agree with. Number 10, David Moyes. Now, that's the first controversial one I was talking about. Oh, David Moyes, of course, second, other than his Everton Premier League tenure, it hasn't been great, I will admit that. He's certainly not been great anywhere else. He spent 11 years at Everton, and I think they were 11 pretty good years he spent there as well. He made Everton a very solid team, quite hard to beat. The record away at the big teams was poor, admittedly, but he did make Everton hard to beat. They were a solid team. He finished 15th, 7th, 17th, 4th, 11th, 6th, 5th, 5th, 8th, 7th, 7th, and 6th. So, yeah, Moyes did pretty well, I think, at Everton. He just made them very solid, and, he didn't do it with much of a budget either. He really did do well at Everton on a low budget. Okay, he didn't win a trophy either, but he did do well, and he was one of them managers that was very well respected for how well he got Everton playing at times. Certainly weren't the most attractive style of football, but he did do well with the players that he had, and he also signed some very good bargains as well, mainly of which I'd probably say was Tim Cahill. Um, yeah, other than that, though, since unfortunately it hasn't gone great for Moyes, sacked just after 8 months at Manchester United. He was sacked in April 2014 after, ironically, a 2-0 away defeat to Everton, so his return to Goodison Park was his final game as Manchester United manager. That unfortunately didn't work out for Moyes, which is a shame because, it never really felt like it was ever going to work out for Moyes at Old Trafford, and that's just how it went. Seventh at the time he was sacked, and they finished seventh that season. Unfortunately, then it got a bit worse for Moyes, as in 2016-17 he relegated Sunderland. He was there the whole season, and Sunderland did get relegated. Admittedly, Sunderland's relegation was coming for quite a long time. Sunderland were teetering on relegation for a good few years before Moyes arrived. Moyes got the whole season, and they were relegated after a 1-0 defeat to Bournemouth in April 2017. He then took over West Ham the following season and dragged them out of a relegation battle to a 13th place finish. And he's also back at West Ham now. He took over from the sacked Manuel Pellegrini, and he sits 16th in the Premier League, just above the relegation zone. So yeah, really, since Moyes left Everton, his Premier League tenure certainly hasn't been anything great. But I think he deserves a place just because of how long he was at Everton and how many years he's actually been in the Premier League. I'd say Moyes just about cracks the top 10. Number 9, Carlo Ancelotti. Again, relatively controversial, as Ancelotti's only actually had 2 full seasons in the Premier League. However, Ancelotti's 2 full seasons in the Premier League were, well, one of season at least was very, very good. In his first season in the Premier League, Carlo Ancelotti won the Premier League with Chelsea, when a Chelsea side scored a record-breaking 103 goals in a Premier League campaign. That record has since been broken by Manchester City last season, or the season before, sorry, 2017-18 season that was. However, Ancelotti in that season got Chelsea playing probably the best stuff we've ever seen Chelsea play, I'd say, in that time, so you've got to certainly give him credit to that. And in the following season, he actually finished second, so it wasn't really that bad at all. He finished second just behind Manchester United, but he did get sacked after that. That's just the ruthlessness, though, I guess, of Roman Abramovich. But, his side were very good to watch, mainly. That's why I do rank Ancelotti well up there, because of how good his Chelsea side was to watch. Definitely for me the best football we've seen Chelsea play, and he has also been a great manager in many other places he's been as well. He currently sits 12th in the Premier League with Everton so far. He's done okay so far as Everton manager. Nothing special, but he's done okay. Maybe his best days are behind him now, Ancelotti, I think. I don't think he's quite the manager that he was 10 years ago, but maybe he can do some decent stuff at Everton. They were near enough. They were just up above the relegation zone when he took over himself, but since then, though, he has gotten up to 12th in the table, and there's not really a lot now between 12th and the top, 5, really, so a couple of wins for Everton could be right back up there. But yeah, that's Carlo Ancelotti. I'd say number 9's about right. Number 8, Claudio Ranieri. Of course, most people know why I put Claudio Ranieri in here, and that is mainly due to the fact that he won the Premier League with Leicester City. That can never really be taken away. Other than that, Ranieri hasn't done anything too special in the Premier League, admittedly. That 15-16 season with Leicester was a miracle, of course. He won the Premier League, which was absolutely crazy to think. No matter who was in charge of Leicester, it would have been crazy to think. And but the following season, he was sacked. He was actually sacked in February after an away loss in the Champions League to Sevilla. So, really does say a lot, to be honest with you, about how much football can change, really. Leicester were struggling at that point, and yeah, and Ranieri was sacked amazingly. Who'd have thought that after they won the Premier League in May, be sacked less than a year later? Other than that, he did spend some years at Chelsea, finishing sixth twice, fourth once, and then second in the 03-04 season, finishing second to Arsenal's Invincibles. Of course, Ranieri was sacked, and then Chelsea got Jose Mourinho in, who did go on to win them back-to-back Premier League titles. But Ranieri certainly deserves a little bit of praise for the players he brought in, some of which Jose Mourinho used to win the Premier League. He's only his most disappointing thing with Ranieri in the Premier League was definitely his spell at Fulham. He was manager of Fulham for just 16 Premier League games and only won 3 of them in a very disappointing. Fulham got relegated in the same season. Ranieri was sacked at the end of February before the season was out, but it was a bitterly disappointing season for Claudio Ranieri. And yeah, and he was sacked there. But I think Ranieri, just for the Leicester achievement alone and the fact he wasn't bad at Chelsea, deserves a place in this list. A true gentleman as well, Ranieri, a very loved figure. Number 7, Kenny Dalglish. Now, in this list I'm referring to the first half of Kenny Dalglish. The second half of Kenny Dalglish certainly was not as good. Of course, Claudio Ranieri won the Premier League with Blackburn Rovers in the 94-95 season. Right, with like Leicester, a very, very good achievement indeed. Other than that, he finished 4th and 2nd in the Premier League, at least, with Blackburn Rovers also got some high finishes there. That was very good. Management from Kenny Dalglish. With Liverpool, when he returned in 2011, it wasn't really as good, though. Dalglish seemed a little bit off with the times, and he just seemed a little bit off with the times. Well, Liverpool played some good stuff. They just didn't score enough goals. He finished 6th in his first season, but he did take over mid-season, and that was from the Roy Hodgson Liverpool era, so I guess that could be considered a success there. In his second season, though, he finished 8th place in a disappointing campaign, really. Even though he won the League Cup and got to the FA Cup final, the league campaign was very disappointing with an 8th place finish, which was certainly underwhelming. He also finished 2nd with Newcastle in his first season, which he took over and got them from 4th to 2nd, and then finished 13th in his only full season with Newcastle, which was disappointing, to be honest. That was the only thing, really, that he would be bitterly disappointed with in his 90s career, is when he returned to Liverpool, it wasn't as good, but it was still not too bad, though. It was okay. Steadied the ship, I guess, from the Roy Hodgson era, but I'd put him in there. The Premier League triumph with Blackburn was amazing. He just generally did great at Blackburn as well. Also got them promoted from the Championship, so very good. Number 6, Rafa Benitez. Now, Rafa Benitez has never won the Premier League, I might add, but he has done a very good job in the Premier League. With Liverpool, he finished 2nd once, 3rd 3 times, 4th once as well, so not too bad at all, really, with his Liverpool career. The year he finished 2nd, he lost out to a very good Manchester United side in the 2008-2009 season. But yeah, he finished 3rd a couple of times. Really, when the top 4 was the top 4, Rafa Benitez really also developed a very good midfield of Steven Gerrard, Xabi Alonso and Javier Mascherano. He just didn't quite get to the win the Premier League. He's also, of course, brought Newcastle United up to the Premier League as well. He did unfortunately get relegated with them, but let's face it, the damage was done through Steve McClaren before that. He finished 10th in his first season back in the Premier League of Newcastle, which was a major success, and then he finished 13th the year after. He actually finished 5th with Liverpool the year they won the Champions League, of the year I didn't mention in the year where he finished 2004-05 season. Of course, winning the Champions League Liverpool was a huge deal for him as well. Overall, Benitez has had a pretty solid Premier League career, and I'd put him definitely in the top 10. A couple of questionable signings here and there. Limited funds at Newcastle, I might add as well. He also finished 3rd with Chelsea in 2012-13 season, and won the Europa League as well, in a season where Rafa was getting tons of abuse off the Chelsea fans. Took over in November, lasted till May, and yeah, he won them the Europa League, finished 3rd. It was enough. It was enough for him to celebrate a bit of a tenure at Chelsea there. But yeah, overall, Rafa Benitez had a pretty successful Premier League career, I'd say. Number 5, Jurgen Klopp. Now, again, people might say it's too early to rank Jurgen Klopp this high. However, Jurgen Klopp, you can't deny what he's built in his few years at Liverpool. Took over in October 2015, It's currently May 2020. Jurgen Klopp's won the Champions League last season, won the Club World Cup and the Super Cup. He's well on course to winning the Premier League once it resumes as well. So Jurgen Klopp's built a fantastic Liverpool team. There's not really a lot more to say, to be honest with you. It's an excellent Liverpool team he's built. And yeah, he finished second last season, 97 points, very unlucky to finish second. He's finished fourth twice, and he also finished eighth in his first season, but that wasn't Jurgen Klopp's team, that was Brendan Rodgers' team. And Klopp since then has been building a team, and he's done fantastic at Liverpool. Great manager, Jurgen Klopp. And again, just a true gentleman. You just got to love Jurgen Klopp for what he's done at Liverpool as well. He could be higher in this list in a few years' time. Pep Guardiola is number 4. Now, Pep Guardiola, of course, won 2 Premier League titles, finished third in his first season. Again, it wasn't really his team in the first season, Pep Guardiola. It just says a lot, really, about when a team's not great, even a manager like Pep Guardiola has to look and say, look, these players aren't for me. He then sold the players that weren't for him in the summer, and he recruited the perfect players to replace them players. In his 2 Premier League title wins, his side accumulated a total of 198 points in 2 seasons. That's crazy. Absolutely unbelievable. The Centurions in 2017-18. And the reason Pep ranks high in this list is the football he plays as well with Man City is absolutely exceptional to watch at times. Just brilliant, really. I mean, if the Premier League resumes, Man City will not win the league this season, but absolutely brilliant what he's achieved at Man City. Pep, yeah, he spent a lot of money, as people will argue, but I just think the football they play, and he signed the perfect players while spending that money, just really says that he deserves to be up there for me, Pep Guardiola. And again, if he stays at Man City a while longer, he'll be right up there again. He'll be right up there, maybe even higher in a few years' time. But a truly exceptional manager for Man City, and he's only been in the Premier League since 2016, which really says a lot of the impact he's made there. Number 3, Arsene Wenger. Now, number 3 and 2 were hard to separate, really. Put a lot of thought into it, but I'm going to put Arsene Wenger at number 3. I guess you can say Wenger's was a tale of 2 centuries, really, at Arsenal. He was at Arsenal just over 20 years. He won 3 Premier League titles, finished second 6 times, finished third 5 times, and finished fourth 6 times. He also finished 5th and 6th in his last 2 seasons, but not really denying what Arsene Wenger did at Arsenal. Very good achievements. Of course, to win 3 Premier League titles, 97, 98, 2001, 2002, and then 2003-04 when he was the Invincibles as well. Great achievements. After the 04-05 season, though, Arsene Wenger's Arsenal career did go a little bit downhill. All of them 4th place finishes all came from then onwards, where he finished 6 times in that place, but he also finished second 6 times as well. So, and he was up against some great Manchester United teams, finishing second as well. So, his last few years weren't great, and he probably should have left a little bit earlier. No denying though how good Arsene Wenger was for the Premier League, and the fact that he got a deservedly massive send off as well. A truly great manager, and yeah, just a shame that the last few years weren't quite as good for him, really. And he did get very stale, and he did get found out, really. But no doubt, a truly great manager, and yeah, just a great Premier League legend, respected by many fans. Number 2, Jose Mourinho. Now, really kind of hurts putting Jose Mourinho above Arsene Wenger, being an Arsenal fan, but again, other than the last few years when Jose Mourinho's magic has worn off a little bit, it's difficult to deny what he's done in his time in the Premier League. Of course, winning the Premier League in his first 2 seasons, 2004-05 and 5-6 with Chelsea. Also winning the Premier League very comfortably as well in them seasons. They always kind of felt like Chelsea were going to win the Premier League. He's also finished second twice as well, 2006-07 season and the 17-18 season with Manchester United. And he finished 6th in the 16-17 season with Manchester United, but did win the Europa League and the League Cup in that same season. So it's difficult to really say a lot bad about Jose Mourinho, to be honest with you. I mean, he was sacked by Chelsea in the 2015-16 season, halfway through, and by Man United in the 17-18 season, as well as resigning in the 2006-07 season as well. 7-8 season, sorry, with Chelsea as well, after just 3 Premier League games it was, or 4 it might have been. He then left after that. 4 Premier League games, I believe it was. He then left afterwards. So, yeah, major. Jose Mourinho's last few years haven't been as good. I mean, he did okay at Manchester United with what he had there, no doubt, but certainly didn't set the world alight either. He spent a lot of money at Manchester United, which did go to waste, and was made some bad signings there. But finishing second, Jose Mourinho says, is one of his greatest ever achievements with that Manchester United team. And looking back, it certainly was a good achievement to do so. And they were up against Man City Centurions that season as well, let's not forget. So that's certainly impressive as well. But overall, Jose Mourinho has done, 3 Premier League titles, and he's only actually managed in the Premier League for around about, I think it's 8 seasons or nearly 9 seasons, so not bad at all. He's currently with Tottenham, sits 8th in the league, but he did take over Tottenham mid-season, so next season I think will be more of a time to judge him in his Tottenham run. But there's no doubt Jose's tactics certainly aren't as effective today as what they once were, but still, though, no doubt Jose Mourinho was a great addition to the Premier League, and just a true great. Number 1, Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, very easy decision here. It's always going to be Sir Alex Ferguson, the man who won the Premier League 13 times out of his 28 seasons. So, nearly half the Premier League seasons have been won by Manchester United and Sir Alex Ferguson. He finished second 5 times and third 3 times. He never finished below third in his Premier League era, which is just absolutely crazy. I mean, really says how good Sir Alex Ferguson was. In fact, Man United once went 4 years without the Premier League title, and that was considered quite poor, already from 2003 to 2007. Quite crazy to think, Sir Alex Ferguson, how good he really was, and he's always going to be number 1 in this list. He's easily the greatest Premier League manager to ever be in the league. I mean, his record speaks for itself. It's really undeniable how good he's really been in the Premier League era, Sir Alex. So yeah, I mean, that's my list, and please like, share and subscribe. Still trying to get the channel to take off the best it can. And yeah, just feel free to like and comment below. And yeah, I'll be back more with some. If there's anything you change, please let me know as well. And I'll be back soon with more lists and maybe some more in depth on sport as well. But yeah, of course, my cricket video yesterday was a bit awkward. I don't really know a lot about cricket, but I am also going to keep up with more football lists mainly. And yeah, please like, share, subscribe as I said, and I'll see you soon.